What's up, everybody? You're back in here with the Pro Football Pod. You've got Hulk, you've got Coach. We're hanging out with you. The off-season preview series rolls on, digging into the NFC East this week for you guys. Big Blue Nation, Giants, got you for this one. What up, Coach? How's it going, man? About to become an uncle here in a couple days?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. We've got a little girl coming in. Austin's not joining us because of preparing for fatherhood. So
he's got
congratulations to him.
Major daddy duties with those twins and that little girl, man. Austin, I know you're going to be watching this because you still support the show when you're not on. We love you for it. Respect is with you, man. All the help you need, you just give me a call and I'm there for words of wisdom. That you got it.
Hell yeah.
Hey, so if you guys haven't already, go ahead and drop a subscribe on that button there down below. Hit that notification button up there in that left-hand corner, the little bell. 500 subscribers, we're giving away a free jersey. I'd love for it to be a Malik Neighbors jersey to one of you Giants fans. So, tell your friends, tell your families, tell all your homies. Let's go ahead and dive into it.
You don't think they're going to get Danny Dimes?
I don't think anybody's going to buy a Danny Dimes jersey. Now, I love, as a past representative of the Ocho, I love the number 8. So I hate that he is the one that's wearing that. Now, I'm hoping where if he gets let go next year, Malik Neighbors snatches it up since that's what he wore at LSU.
Okay.
So, here's hoping to that.
I don't like the Danny Dimes hate so much because he's finally going to get what Josh Allen got that took him to a top 5 quarterback in a true, actual number 1 target.
That is the hope. That's why they didn't really bring in another quarterback this offseason.
He could totally shit the bed.
They did bring in Drew Lock because with Danny's
call.
With his play style, you're looking at potential injury there. Yep. So Drew Lock, one of the better backups in the league.
After this year, whenever he has a real, true number 1 target, if he does nothing and he's still inaccurate and he's still unable to hit totally wide open receivers, then yeah, he's done for. He's going to get the Zach Wilson treatment all day long. But he's never had that. Like, Zach Wilson had Garrett Wilson. So, there was all right, there's kind of no excuse. You've got a real number 1 out there. Like, if you can't do anything with that, then you can't do anything. So a lot of quarterbacks right now that are considered some of the best in the league at throwing, they didn't do shit until they had a real number 1. So I like to see, before I judge too much. I'm not a huge Danny Dimes hater. I'd like to see him succeed a little bit.
Okay, let me put it this way. I'm not a huge fan of his game. I love the mobile ability he brings and the rushing ability a la of Josh Allen. The guy does give you those vibes when he is running the ball. But I don't think the guy's ever going to be like a top 12 passer in the league. I just don't.
So let me take everything I just said and say this. There's no fucking way that I'm going to draft him as my 28th quarterback. Number 28, 175 overall. No way in hell am I risking my fantasy future by taking Danny Dimes in a redraft league. I hope him all the success, and I hope that we see a growth, but I'm not going to risk on it.
He is fantasy relevant because of his rushing ability.
Yeah.
And with Saquon not being there anymore, you have to think he might get more goal line work.
Huge. Yeah, that's a good point.
Let's dive into a little bit last year. We're going to get into our prediction for their over-under at the end, but right now it's set at 6.5. They went 6-11 last year. And before we really dive in, I think they did get better. They added Brian Burns, added Devin Singletary. We mentioned Drew Lock. They brought in Jalen Mills at safety, Jermaine Illuminor at offensive tackle, and John Runyon Jr. at offensive guard. Now, they lost Saquon Barkley. That's going to be a hit.
Does that help them, though? Their offense changed.
Running back work can be supplemented. If there's one position in the NFL that can be moneyballed, it's the running back position.
And they brought in Singletary. He had a really good end of season last year with Houston.
They brought in Singletary, and they've also got who else is on their roster here? Let me get that pulled up. I should know that off the top of my head.
I think
Yeah, they drafted Tyrone Tracy Jr. out of Purdue.
okay.
He to me is a very sneaky pick in dynasty drafts, and absolutely keep an eye on him for the waiver wire. Right now, he's going as the number 59 running back in the 18th, 19th round. So people are kind of, he does have draft value because, yes, it's Devin Singletary. He had a solid season, but is he going to give you a full season's worth of fantasy relevance? Tyrone Tracy brings a pass catching element because the guy was a slot receiver in college as well before he transitioned to running back.
I think it wouldn't be a horrible call with Singletary being the 35th running back, 105 overall. If you're going super wide receiver heavy and it's near the end and you have one or two running backs and you're entering the 9th or 10th round, I think that Singletary being the number one running back on the team and then taking Tracy with like your last pick, it's not a horrible strategy. This offense hasn't been great, but Dable is there. And Dable does run a very good offense. And 2 years ago, they were very solid. Now, they relied on Saquon a lot. I think that with Malik Neighbors, though, and kind of like Wandale and Hyatt.
Jalen Hyatt and with another year of development
Yes,
in
I like
an
that a lot.
NFL system, I think he's going to be a guy that might have the chance to explode as well.
He's not being
back
drafted at all. 245 overall. Like no one's even looking at
Now,
Jalen Hyatt.
I'm going to get into that once we dive into those ADPs. But to me, they lost Leonard Williams and Ashawn Robinson, both in the middle of their defense.
That's
so
hard.
their interior defensive line depth absolutely took a hit. Xavier McKinney, stud safety for them, went over to play in Green Bay. And Tyrod Taylor is their backup. Now, I like Drew Lock better because he is, a younger guy, has more potential overall.
Yeah, we know what Tyrod is.
In the draft, we all know they took Malik Neighbors. They brought in Tyler Nubin at safety as well.
We
So
were
with
very
him
high
and
on him.
Jalen Mills, they're trying to supplement that Xavier McKinney. Andrew Phillips, I loved his game coming out of Kentucky to play corner for him. Theo Johnson, with Darren Waller retiring, all of a sudden he's thrust into a potential starting role as a rookie.
Yep.
And then we mentioned Tyrone Tracy Jr. So I do like their draft class as well. So looking at their team overall, yes, losing Saquon Barkley and Leonard Williams absolutely hurt, along with Xavier McKinney. But I like the pieces they brought in. Bringing in Brian Burns to go with Dexter Lawrence and Kayvon Thibodeau gives them one of the most athletic and scariest defensive lines in the entire NFL.
And they paid Brian Burns. They gave that dude a bag.
Yeah. Which, they took the money from Saquon and gave it to a pass rusher, which
Much
is absolutely
smarter.
what I would do.
Yeah, dude. Who the fuck needs the best running back in football potentially whenever you're not even making the playoffs? Like the only teams that are doing that are teams like San Francisco.
We just saw the Titans get rid of their king, Derrick Henry, like the face of their franchise for the last decade, just about. And because paying him doesn't make sense for their franchise, like you said, unless you're a contender or a potential contender, paying a running back makes no sense.
Now, another talking point, I think, is Marvin Harrison is a top 10 pick. Malik Neighbors is a top 60 pick. I like that so much more. I realize that his quarterback isn't as good, but he is still going to be the number one targeted person on that team.
The value.
26 wide receiver means I can take 3 studs and have this guy as my flex/bench and get a running back, and I get to get Malik Neighbors. I love the value there. It's so much better, and I love the player more. Marvin Harrison is going to be great. He has phenomenal hands, route running, all these things, but he doesn't have the elite speed and athleticism, as well as his route running is good, but Malik Neighbors is on a freaking dime. These cuts, the guy's unreal. He was the top 10 pick for a reason, and he's in the best situation besides Marvin Harrison. Like Roma Dunze is obviously in a good situation. I'm pretty sure he's getting drafted before Malik Neighbors.
Malik is in a position to get fed.
Yes.
And that's what I wanted to get into with these wide receivers is we mentioned Malik going at 53 overall, Jalen Hyatt going 245 overall, and Wan'Dale Robinson in the middle at 193 overall. The reason there's such a disparity between Neighbors and Wan'Dale and why even Neighbors is so low is like you mentioned, you're having to trust Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
Now, because of the hype factor it would give, I truly wonder what their draft position overalls would be if Drew Lock was named the starting quarterback.
I don't know if it would improve much.
Do I think Drew Lock would improve them that drastically? No. But I think the news headline of Danny Dimes being out and Drew Lock coming in and all of the highlights that you would start seeing on Giants Twitter of Drew Lock all of a sudden, I think it would affect them. So that by getting to that is what I'm saying is Daniel Jones is looked at so sideways, it will affect all of his pass catchers. Devin Singletary, their starting running back, and as far as we know, maybe getting the absolute load off the offset is going in the 10th round. I love that value.
It's crazy.
I get RB1 in a Dable offense, and we don't know what Tyrone Tracy is going to do. I'll just go ahead and snatch him up 9 rounds later to have my handcuff.
Or even
and I've got the Giants backfield.
Week 1 waiver wire. If he's getting 30% of the carries week 1, then yeah, I'll pick him up on the waivers. I don't
week
care.
1, if Tyrone Tracy comes out and gets 8 carries and 3 targets, I'm absolutely picking him up week 1.
Easily. Just because of the potential. I think that Daniel Jones is viewed as way worse than he actually is. This past year he got hurt. His first year with Brian Dable, he did well enough for them to give him a lot of money. I think that as well, Tyrod Taylor was never going to beat Daniel Jones in a quarterback competition. This offseason, this training camp that's about to happen, Drew Lock's going to have his opportunity. Brian Dable is a quarterback whisperer. Like, what he does is make quarterbacks a little bit better. Not a lot bit better, but at least a little bit. If he's capable of bringing Drew Lock to a point where he thinks he can run his offense better than Daniel Jones, I don't think the money they're paying Daniel Jones is going to matter to them. Like, they're totally renting Daniel Jones for 1 more year. Everybody knows that. So, like, I think that they would easily go to Drew if he's the better option. I think that with the offensive weapons that they have right now, whenever we were doing our mock drafts early in the mock calendar, we were having them take Rome Odunze over Malik Neighbors. And before we did it, we said we like Malik Neighbors more, but there's 2 not as good as Malik Neighbors, but Malik Neighbors types players on this offense. I like their speed. I like their athleticism. They could really go with like a Mike McDaniel type of offense. And they do need the timing and the accuracy to be on point to make that work. So that's what it's all going to really rely on. And I think that I don't think this team's going to win a ton of games this year. But I think this team, like you said earlier in the pod, they got a lot better. They got a lot better this offseason.
And so with going into that, at their win total sitting at 6.5,
I think
do you have
over.
them? You think they go over?
They play in one of the most. They play in one of the most versatile divisions in football.
They could very well win it this year with the way the NFC East goes.
I mean, we know who's not winning it. Sorry, Austin. So, I mean, like, it's anybody's division to win. It always is. I mean, Commanders could surprise the shit out of us. So, like, it's especially when they play each other. And I feel like they don't have too hard of a schedule. I can't remember everyone they played. You give us the rundown.
So just real quick rundown, they go at Minnesota, or home versus Minnesota, at Commanders, at Cleveland, versus Dallas, Seattle, Cincinnati, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Commanders again, Carolina, bye week in week 11. Then they finish the season off with Tampa Bay, Dallas, New Orleans, Baltimore, Atlanta, Indy, Philly. I'm with you. I think
I
they can
heard
squeeze
5
seven.
games right there that aren't even division games that they could be competing in and win. Like,
Yeah, I'm with you there. Like, I think looking at this schedule, I do think they can squeak out 7 wins, especially if Danny Dimes is able to make a little bit of a jump there. He kind of has to. Like, so you're hoping the pressure forces him to rise to the top, and because if he doesn't, you're out.
yeah.
So you're literally playing for your job. You're playing for another contract. Like, you're a professional. This is what you're in the NFL for. Go get it done. So if that is the route that takes, I do with us both agreeing that they got better. Yeah, I think 7 wins is absolutely achievable for them. So if you guys think that we're right or if we're wrong, go ahead and throw it down below. If you think Drew Lock is a better quarterback than Danny Dimes and you'd rather see him in there, go ahead and throw that below. 500 subscribers, we're doing a jersey giveaway. We'd love to give away a Giants jersey. Like Coach said, maybe a Danny Dimes jersey. If you've got faith in him moving forward, please tell your friends. TulsiRoseTea.com is the sponsor. We love you guys. Peace out.
I'm pretty sure it's just not going to be a Darren Waller jersey.
No, guaranteed not a Darren Waller jersey. Maybe a Darren Waller CD or a mixtape.